Welcome to step 2 of your Zentangle project. This is going to be your Zentangle design. For this, you're going to need the square piece of paper that was in your envelope. If you lost this paper, you don't have it, don't worry, you can use another piece of paper. Please make sure it's at least 7 by 7 inches. This square was 7 inches. If you don't want to work in a square, you could think about using other geometric shapes. You could do your design in a circle or something else. An organic shape, you could cut out a free-form shape or something recognizable like a butterfly. I'm going to work on the square, and please feel free to as well. I believe one of the better ways to start a Zentangle is to use a controlled scribble. So I'm going to hold the paper with my left hand because I'm right-handed. I'm going to use my right hand to draw the controlled scribble. My pencil marks can go off the paper. I'm trying to make overlapping and wide open spaces here. I don't want too many closed spaces. I think larger spaces work better for when you're going to add the patterns into here. So I think the controlled scribble creates a nice organic pattern on the paper, so I isolated some shapes that I can place my patterns into. So once I have my controlled scribble, I'm happy with it. I can begin my design. If you want to try it again, feel free to flip the paper over, try again, or use your eraser to eliminate some lines and add some new ones. I'm going to start maybe this smaller shape here. I'm going to use my pencil first. You can easily erase or change your mind if you start with your pencil. And so I do recommend starting with the pencil and then going over your lines with Sharpie. So I'm going to start in this smaller shape here. You can reference your thumbnail sketches for designs. You may use more than 5 of them, so you may have to go into your other designs that you thought of, or you may want to look on the slideshow and use other ideas there, or in the 3 videos in the slideshow as well, have many pattern ideas, or you can make them up from your head. So I'm going to start with this diamond pattern here, and I'm going to put it in, well, it's kind of a larger pattern. I'm actually going to put it over here in this shape. So for that, I had the diamonds. I'm not going to worry if they go off of the shape here on the page. They also had some smaller diamonds inside of them. I don't want that mark. I think one more would be down here. All right, so now I have the basic layout of my design. I also had some lines going through. And now I'm going to begin to start to use my Sharpie. So once I'm happy with my design, I can start to finalize it. So I'm going to go over these shapes. And now the time I'm going to start to use my thicker and thinner lines. So in my pattern, I had some thicker lines that could also imply shadow or imply that this diamond shape is coming closer to you on this side, because thicker lines will move forward and thinner lines will recede. So I'm going to go around and trace all of these. And I'm going to begin to put in my stippling that was in my pattern here. I've started to work on this section now. After I did the pencil, I went back over everything in Sharpie and started to add my details. I also added a little beaded border around this specific shape, just to give it a little more interest. So once I finish up one, I'm gonna move on to my next shape. So I'm gonna go back to my pencil and work on this shape over here, and I'm going to refer back to my thumbnail sketches, and I think I'm going to choose this one here, and I'm going to put that one in this section here. So this had some striped arcs, and it also had some stripes within these. I'm not going to worry too much about how messy my pencil is, because I'm going to erase all those pencil marks when I finish with all my Sharpie. So that's the basic design of that one. And once again, I'm just going to go in with my Sharpie and start to define those lines. Remembering to use some thicker and thinner lines, or have my lines go from thick to thin. It'll add some visual interest and create some depth. And I'm gonna go fill in these lines. I'm working on some final details of this shape here. I added some stippling, so some dots, and when they're really close together, they create a darker value, and as they spread out, they create a lighter value. And then over here, I'm adding some hatching to create some shadow. So some directional line hatching underneath these lines to make it appear as though the line above it is coming forward. So you can go back through, add some more details to some of your shapes, start to add some dimension to the patterns, or you can work a little more flat and just leave them more the white of the paper and then the dark black of the Sharpie. Don't be afraid to play with the thickness of lines and design on your borders. So I have like this little beaded border here, and then I have this line border here. Working with value, it'll be a nice contrast with the black and the white to have some of these other hatching values. So don't be afraid to try some cross hatching. Don't be afraid to try some stippling. Create some interest, some depth. Here's another one I've been working on. Some of the shapes in here are a little more simplified. So even in one of my shapes, I just did some stripes. And over here, a triangle pattern with patterns within those triangles. And then in this isolated shape here, I just started with a flower shape in the center and then worked my way out. So have fun with it. Keep yourself interested. Refer back to the slideshow if you start to run out of ideas. This is called a Zentangle, so you should be at peace and relaxed when you are making this. You do have time, so you have 2 more classes to work on this, and then upload your finished piece on the slideshow for the gallery of this project. It'll be another, it'll be within the thumbnail, the same slideshow as the thumbnails. I'll label another slide for you to post this there. The last step you want to do though is make sure you clean up any pencil marks you have. So when you've completed all of these shapes, you can go back in with an eraser and just start to clean up those lines. And then you'll actually be able to see a little better the later parts of your design. You might want to go back in and maybe add some more stippling or hatching if you see you need it. Have fun. I look forward to seeing your completed work. Enjoy.